Morning dudes. Morning folks. We're gonna say folks. I don't want to say dudes. So today I'm out for a little bit of a gravel ride / everything ride, and I thought it would be cool to talk about why a gravel bike is the best bike to have, and if I were to only have one bike, why it would be a gravel bike. Squirrel! Why would I only have a gravel bike? Well, a gravel bike can ride road, it can ride trail, it can ride skinnies, it can ride single track up to a certain degree, and obviously can ride gravel. Alright, look at this crazy tree. It's like dead, I think, but this tree is massive and just like kind of gnarly and cool looking. But at this point I think it would also make some pretty good firewood. Alright, back to the bike. So I'm going to flip it around, which means I'm probably going to have to start a new video because I'm going to turn my mic around this time and make it not sound like I'm talking into my armpit. But my bike, the bike that I'm riding right now, is a Panorama Cabon. It's a beautiful bike. Let's talk about it a little bit. Alright, so here it is. So my Panorama Cabon has been with me, well, since the spring, I guess. It's a carbon fiber gravel bike from the good folks at Panorama Cycling. And it's a beast. It rides so fast. It's been burly. I've taken it on some pretty rough trails. I ride what a lot of the guys and girls around here ride with their full suspension bikes with it. I live in a town, the second word in the name of that town is prairie, yet a lot of people have these overkill full suspension bikes to ride these trails, which I feel like is pretty unnecessary. It's a 12-speed, GRX components, no power meter yet, but I would love to get one, just so I could train on this bike. I've rode some big rides with this bike, hunt wheel set, and my intentions are to enter a large bike packing race with it at some point. Alright, so I'm just gonna go for a little ride now. Sand, it's sandy. I can handle sand because the mosquitoes are destroying me. Gravel bikes can handle so much more than we think they can. We think they're these dainty little machines, but really they've been built to be pretty burly. And you can even buy some drop bar gravel bikes that are still considered mountain bikes. So today what I'm going to do is take you guys on a ride and just kind of show you some of the terrain that I ride with this bike. As you can see, currently I'm riding just like a family trail that my family and I ride a lot. So let's go. Let's see what we can find. Let's see what kind of trouble we can get into with this gravel bike. All right, we're on some roads now, which leads me to answer the question, what about tire pressure on a gravel bike? Well, let me tell you about tire pressure on a gravel bike. It's a lot lower than a road bike, but you know what? It's very similar to a mountain bike. When I first got this bike, I was riding it around at about 30 PSI front and back. And on the gravel, it was pretty rough, not gonna lie. So I talked to my good friend Simon at Panorama Cycles, and he recommended I lower them down to between 25 and 28. Hang on, big hill. Ooh, trail. Oh shit, I unclipped. Which I did, and ever since then it's been smooth sailing. Now, my biggest concern with riding around at 25 PSI on something like this was that I'd be slow. And I mean, it's definitely not a road bike. It's not 90 PSI, it's not a speed demon. And again, there are more racy gravel bikes, but it's a do-all. It does everything. And you know what? I average 26 kilometers an hour. And I mean, that's relative to your fitness. Oh, it's a big climb. It's a big climb. It's a big climb. It's relative to your fitness. I gotta get some back. Whew. But that's still pretty fast on the road. And then I'm not gonna lie, when I get on the gravel, it's not much less. I average about 25. There's a cat. Anyway, there you go. Tire pressure. Nerdy bike stuff. All right. I mean, completely off topic here, but I ride this route a lot. And I mean, it's not Hollywood here, but who the hell lives in these houses? Drake ain't hanging out in Grand Prairie. Pretty sure T Swift hasn't picked up a cottage in oil country. I don't know, I wonder that all the time. All right, one of my favorite bridges to ride on a road bike. Today we're rocking it on a gravel bike. Cha-chow! People walking there, yo. Morning, horsies. We finally found some gravel. I was a little worried that we weren't gonna find it. I kind of forgot about this little stretch. Coming to the end of this ride, I really do feel like I've tried to convince you to get a gravel bike. But really, you gotta think about it. What do you ride? Do you hate gravel? Is going fast the only thing you really care about? Then maybe stick to being a roadie. If gravel sketches you out, I've had folks come riding and wipe out a bunch, decide gravel's not for them. If you like big air, if you like hitting jumps, you love full suspension cush, maybe gravel's not for you. So if you're that guy, that girl, we got a construction site here, he kind of rolls in between, maybe it's for you. If adventure is what you do on your bike, I would definitely recommend a gravel bike. If you want to be able to go everywhere, for the most part, a gravel bike is definitely for you. Oh, road close. I mean, I've considered converting every bike I own, including my full suspension mountain bike, to a drop bar bike at some point. That's how much I love drop bar bikes. So if a drop bar bike's for you, maybe get yourself a gravel bike. The biggest benefit to me is that I never have to worry about where the road's gonna take me. This guy's cutting his grass. It's a shitload of mulch. So I haven't won you over yet. I want to give you one more example of why. Maybe not to not have a mountain bike, but maybe more if you're a roadie, why you need a gravel bike. I mean, like 3 weeks ago, I rode a section of road, of pavement that they were repaving on my road bike, thinking it would be no problem. And I had the worst crash I've ever had on a bike, and I'm still feeling it. So maybe this last point is more for the roadies out there. So this is how it goes. I'm riding along, beautiful asphalt, and all of a sudden my wife gives me a call and says, hey, you gotta get home really quickly. I don't know, that's just like one example. I was really dramatic, wasn't it? Or she's like, hey, like it is right now, when are you gonna be home? I want to ride my bike. So I'm like, well, if I had a road bike, I'd have to take the left up at this intersection and ride all the way around and be home later. But because I'm on my gravel bike, Boop, boop. I just do the old cut across. Take a little bit of gravel. This gravel is going to turn into junk right away here. Here's the junk. Don't crash, don't crash. And I'm hanging on, I'm hanging in there. The bike's doing great. It's fun. It's actually more fun than a mountain bike because like it actually feels like a little bit more tricky. I mean, it makes it more challenging. Here we go, here's some junk. Oh, it's really growing up in here. And look, I'm pretty much home now. All right, all I gotta do is cross this janky bridge that somebody built. Ooh, it's dewy. Seems like I was in the depths of nature there. Then check this out. Do the old pop-up to the stormwater relief pond right behind my house. All right, I'm back on this little traily trail that I take my dog on every day. I want to go home. I found my wife walking the dog, so I'm gonna chase her because I love her.